How are you feeling about everything?
It's a game at the end of the day. It's a hypothetical situation.
Yeah.
So, even real. So I don't actually care.
It's not nice for me.
What's not nice for you?
In all these challenges, she's always the first to pick you for something.
So you think that's nice for me?
I really loved tonight's, couples dates, because it was a how-to sort of function in a couple and an insight into the different types of couples that we had. It says, though Love Island was carrying out an experiment in real time to show you what it looks like to be in a couple, what it looks like to be in a toxic couple, what it looks like to be in a very even-keeled, very productive and sort of very supportive couple, because you had different ends of the spectrum. You had the worst of the worst, which was Dejon and Meg and their very toxic crisis management style, and then you had the boring ones. There's nothing to say about Connor and Megan. Even Angel and Ty, there was nothing there. With Tony and Cash, we barely got to see them, but they were very cutesy. And then Shakira and Harry were the fun-loving, very cutesy date. And then you had the mature, even-tempered, well-mannered, amazing crisis resolution style that was displayed by Yasmin and Jamie. Oh my God, I loved it. Their conflict resolution, they should go and sort of start classes for couples on how to manage crisis and how to sort of be able to sort of communicate with your partner and make yourself heard. I loved it. Am I surprised that Connor's gone home? No. Connor should have gone home a long time ago, but he's been able to sort of navigate his way into staying in couples until there was nowhere else for him to go. I think he stayed with Megan because he thought he would make it to the very end, but at the end of the day, he's made it to the final week. And I'm side-eyeing production because I really hope they didn't bring Megan so that she could be a vote to save her pal, because it doesn't make sense why she came in just for a few days for her to leave again. Anyway, I digress. Hey there, thanks for stopping by. It's your girl Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love Island UK, Season 12, Episode 54. Just a quick note to everyone who's commented. I really appreciate you, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. I'm just a bit tied up with work and I'm trying to get my reviews out as soon as possible, and I will respond sometime today or tomorrow as soon as I get a moment. Anyway, this first 11 minutes seemed to be very Dejon and Megan heavy. I have a feeling Dejon and Meg are being pushed into the spotlight because production is about to give them a rude awakening, in the sense that they are about to be dumped when the other islanders come back, the same way they treated Joey Essex. If we remember last time, that's the impression that I'm getting, that Dejon and Meg are in for a rude awakening. Anyway, we have Meg walking away from the fire pit because she's had this fallout with Dejon about why did he write Yasmin's name. She goes to the mini fire pit with this Connor and Angel. She sits there, she's venting. How could he do that? How could he put someone's name that he knows that I don't get along with? Those girls are always drawing me out. Why did he feel it was necessary to sort of say that and include one of their names? He could have said Megan, he could have said Angel, but these girls are always taking a hit at me. And it's like, you've known Dejon really likes this girl since she came in, because when you were doing the beer pong challenge, he picked up a cup that said, who would you be in a couple with if not your partner? And he went and he kissed Yasmin. So for you to be surprised, I don't get it. Had he picked anyone else, it would have been a cop out. So I don't get why you're making such a big deal over nothing. You had the other guys trying to pacify her and saying, oh, but he just took it literally. Connor said, oh, he just took it literally and just thought he would answer it the way sort of it was asked. I don't think so. Dejon was very strategic. He knows he's got a bad rep for how he treated Yasmin when he refused to speak to her. So I think he's trying to get back into the fans' good books. This is why he's trying to say that, oh, even though we had this fallout, but I still really do like her. That's the impression that I get. I don't think he did it just because he was just being naive. She then started crying. She was being consoled by Angel, and it's like, please believe it out. So Dejon walks past, and then he went, oh, let's keep quiet about it. And it's like, Dejon always likes to intimidate people, and he doesn't see it as intimidation, but other people say it, because all he needed to do was just walk by quietly. He didn't need to say anything. So for him to say that didn't make any sense. In the den, you have Jamie with Cash having a chat, and then they're joined by by Ty, and Jamie sort of reveals that yes, on that question she wrote Dejon, and I don't get why she wrote Dejon because she's always falling out with Dejon, and yet she's saying she would be in a couple. She already explained herself to you. She said there was a time she really liked Dejon and would have considered coupling up with him, but the way he's behaved and the things she's seen her on movie night and grafties have made her realize that she actually dodged a bullet. So the idea that you'd still be upset about it, I don't get it. You had the guy sort of swear to secrecy and say don't tell anyone. In the kitchen, you have Meg squared having a conversation with Angel, and Megan is still upset. She's going on about this. Oh, how could he say that? How could he write Yasmin's name? It's unacceptable. I don't get why he would draw me out. And then Ty joins them, and they start trying to suss out information from him about Jamie, because Meg is saying, "Oh, Jamie looks really upset. What's going on? Tell us what happened. What did Yasmin do? What?" And Ty was very obvious. I have a feeling he revealed it to Angel once they were in bed, because he said, "Oh, he needs to speak to Yasmin," and it's like, why are you saying that? Why can't you just say, "I don't know"? He's not upset. He's just reflecting on the game and whatever he's coupled. That's it. He could have said anything, but he decided to make it even more suspicious. You have Harry and Shakira in the den. Harry and Shakira are on cloud nine. They're in their little bubble, and I love this for them. Harry is a totally different man. I'm not sure how I feel about the Mo. He reminds me of Love Island Australia boys, because they are the ones who always loved the little mustache. Anyway, they're speaking about the challenge and the responses that they gave. They're excited that they won. They were joint winners with Dejon and Meg. Dejon and Meg cheated, really. So for Shakira to sort of call out responses that he gave, and she said, "I really appreciate the fact that you spoke about my brain. You didn't go about physical features." And he said, "Well, I know it's important to you." And she also appreciated the fact that he said he would couple up with Tony because he knows they're best friends with Tony. He's never expressed romantic interest, but I think he looked for the least likely candidate to upset her. Harry, when it comes to Shakira, he is always very attentive, very cautious, very caring. And so the idea that he would have done that, I have a feeling had he been with Shakira on that question, had he been with Helena on that question, he would have put Shakira, or you'd have put Yasmin, just something to trigger her. So I'm not surprised that he did that. And I really love them. I really love how quiet and how very mature they are as a couple. You then have Dejon and Meg, while Connor's Meg sit at the mini fire pit. She's having a conversation with him. She's trying to explain to him that you shouldn't have, explained. You could have written Yaz's name. We all understand, because everybody understood why he wrote Yaz's name. But he was saying that, you shouldn't have sort of given the explanation. And it's like, I agree with him. She would still have wanted an explanation. She would still have, I wanted an explanation. So the best thing he could have done is he could have written somebody else's name and just left it at that, and then had a conversation with her separately to explain what he wanted to do. The Islanders get into bed. Jamie on his part is still upset because he's already spoken to the guys and said, I don't understand why Yaz put Dejon's name. She's always drawing him out in games. She's always arguing with him and stuff. So I don't get why she would put his name unless there's still underlying feelings. I don't think Yaz likes Dejon romantically anymore. I don't think so. I've never seen it. So the idea that she'd be doing it because she likes him, I don't get it. Megan then walks into the bedroom where Connor's Meg, is having a conversation with Yaz and Tony. Connor's Meg is trying to be the neutral party because she's realized that what she did the first time round didn't work, so she's trying to be the neutral party. So she was telling the girls what had happened, and then when Meg walked in, Meg asked, "Oh, what's going on?" And then she said, "Oh, well, I spoke to Dejon and I told him you need to calm down. He needs to calm down, and then the two of you can speak." Dejon is never going to listen to anyone. Thinking that Dejon is going to listen to someone who's being Delulu. He's never going to listen to anyone. But hey, if that's what we want to do, hey. Anyway, the Islanders get ready for bed. Everybody goes to bed. Connor is one of the biggest gossipers in the villa, because why was he discussing with Megan and sort of discussing the fact that Yasmin had written Dejon's name? Things are about to blow up again. In the morning, the Islanders wake up. Obviously, the villa's a bit quiet. There's lesser people in there than they had after Casa. Harry receives a text message. Islanders, tonight each couple will have a special date in the villa. Boys, it's time to head out and prepare for a date to remember. Hashtag closed off cuteness. I was like, well, not everyone is closed off, but I love it. I love the fact that, they're having the boys. I don't know why Love Island UK has stopped having these sort of dates, these extravagant dates. I don't know if it's the budget or whatever. Anyway, the guys get ready to leave. The girls are just moping around the villa. And they actually appreciate the boys because you get to hear the girls complain that, oh, I actually miss the coffee. We don't really appreciate the boys as much as we do. I've always had a thing for Love Island in the sense that boys are always doing the acts of service and the girls never do anything. So I'm happy that they appreciated this about the boys. The boys then leave the villa and you have the girls going to their little cliques. So you have the clique by the mini fire pit and you have the baddies on the day beds. And so you have Yasmin. She's still talking about the situation with the game where she wrote Dejon's name. And she says, she doesn't like to go to bed angry, but Jamie still seems confused. And I love that the girls explained to her that, the problem is you're always bashing, Dejon when we play games. And so for him, the question could be, are you bashing him because you hate him or are you bashing him because you like him and he's not available? And so it's up to her to... I was happy they said that because it allowed her to decipher, to think maybe there is a different opinion about this, because she was saying Jamie's still confused about the whole situation. And I think this could be his confusion because he even hinted it to the boys when he was in the den that I don't get why she would write his name given the fact that she's always calling him out and they're always clashing. So I never thought her feelings for Dejon or her interest in Dejon was that serious. So I'm a bit surprised that it's such a big deal. You have Megan squared with Angel. Megan then reveals that, that Yaz wrote Dejon's name on the board. She's asked who told you. She said, Connor. I did call it that Connor is a little tattletale. And so I don't understand the big deal. I really don't understand the big deal about this Yasmin Dejon situation. And I don't get why their partners are this aggrieved. It's not like they've paid any interest to the others. So the idea that people are still bashing on at it, I really don't get it. You have the guys in this little village. They're sort of walking around. They're sort of doing their shopping. And they're split according to sort of who they're... Well, not really who their girls play with, because you had Ty with Dejon and Harry. And so I don't know whether it's because Harry and Dejon are close friends, that's why they were together. And then you had the other group, Connor, Cash, and Jamie. Jamie's very quiet. And looking at the guys as they were walking, one thing I noticed was that apparently Harry is the tiniest out of all the guys, which was very funny to see. But anyway, I digress. So you have, Jamie thinking of getting Yaz a dream catcher. It's a black one. And I love that the boys were giving their input, because you had Cash say to him, oh yeah, black could remind her of a cat, and that's a cute thing, that's something she would like. Connor got 2 more red thread bracelets again for Megan, and it's like, oh, okay, it is what it is. With Dejon, Harry, and Ty, well, they were talking about the fact that Shakira likes turtles, but then, so they were looking at wooden animals to see what they could get her, and then he eventually found a turtle, which I really loved, because Harry said, oh, I know Shakira likes turtles, that's her most favorite thing in the world. So he got her that, and then he got these goofy hats. He wouldn't be Harry without the goofy hats. He wouldn't be Harry without the goofy puppet hats. So I love that for him. Back in the villa, you have the girls just lounging around because there's no one else to talk to. And there's obviously this division. And it seems like production is doing their best to keep Shakira and Megan apart. Megan then decides to pull Yasmin for a chat to the fire pit. And she says, I heard that you wrote Dejon's name. Please, could you explain why you wrote his name? And it's like, Dejon and I had interest in Dejon when I came into the villa, but at the moment we're not friends. There's nothing there. It was just initial sexual attraction when we met, but that's since died down. I don't have any feelings for him. And so I love that Yasmin was able to put it to rest. She didn't argue about it. She actually had a civilized conversation, and because Yaz has always been someone who's always able to articulate herself and sort of maintain her composure. She doesn't freak out. She barely shouts. I don't think she's ever shouted at anyone in all the time she's been in the villa. So I was happy that she was able to sort of bring Meg down, and they were able to have a civilized conversation that didn't result in shouting and screaming. You have the guys then sit down, they're having drinks, and so they're having a conversation. And this is what Yaz and Jamie get along with, in the sense that they're very measured in what they say. They don't just speak just to hear their voices or to hear themselves speak. They speak because they have a point to put across, and they listen. They're very attentive when they're listening, because you could see how Jamie was listening to Dejon as Dejon was speaking. Dejon said, the baby challenge was good. It showed Meg in a positive light. And then he went into this Yasmin situation. He talks about the fact that, he had previously spoken to Meg and told her how he ranked the girls, that Meg was his number one and Yasmin was his number two. He didn't bring up Billikis, and I'm a bit surprised that that didn't come up unless it was cut off. And he's saying that it was just a game. It's not that I have any interest in Yasmin, which was good for Jamie to hear this, because Jamie then said, I spoke to Yasmin about it, and because the two of you are always arguing, and I couldn't quite understand why the two of you are always arguing. If there's this, is it because there's a sexual attraction, there's an emotional connection, or whatever? And I think people are sort of reading into this very badly. Yasmin, yes, was intrigued at the idea that Dejon had 23 sons, and I think that's where it ended. I don't think once she started seeing his negative qualities, she was ever interested again. I think after seeing his negative qualities, she was turned off, and she's completely switched off from him. And so hopefully Jamie gets over this, because they really make a cute couple. The guys come back, the girls sort of tease them by trying to sort of woo her and then ignore the boys, and everyone else was able to take it on the chin. But you have Yaz and Jamie, they're just on the sunbeds, and Yaz is saying, we were just teasing you guys, and they really seem cutesy. Whereas Dejon and Meg, Dejon is moaning, oh, why did you miss me? Why did you ignore me? And it's like, Dejon is not that big a deal. The girls were playing a game. Just take it for what it is and keep it stepping. So the girls then stayed in getting ready while the guys were making, the dinner, because, they are the ones who are responsible for cooking and setting up their place. And each guy was assigned an individual place. Some of them made sense. Some of them, I was just scratching my head because I couldn't understand. For Cash to be on the terrace, it makes sense, because we all remember Tony sitting on the floor on the terrace when she was speaking to Harrison. So it's good that they were trying to create a positive memory from that. You had Connor on the breakfast board. That didn't make sense. I didn't understand that, and I still can't explain that. Ty in the den, still can't understand that. Doesn't make sense. You had Harry on the daybeds. Makes sense, because when he was in trouble, that's where he slept, and people were calling it the Harry's bed, so that makes sense. Dejon and Meg on the mini fire pit didn't make sense. It didn't make sense. Maybe the big fire pit would have made more sense, but the mini fire pit didn't make sense. And then you had Jamie at the big fire pit, and so the girls then come out, they go and sit with their guys, and we then get to hear conversations from each couple. Megan was very excited. She really loved where they were sitting. And it seems like Dejon and Meg are trying to reenact everything Mimi and Joe and what's his name, Josh, did last season. I'm surprised he didn't get her a doll, although he got her this little thread bracelet, and I was side-eyeing him because it looks like he just looked at what Connor got and then he got her the same thing. You have Connor. Connor upgraded their little threads. He got her a thread with a bits of gold on it. Megan seems excited. He also got a ring, and she was sort of saying, oh, which finger should I put it on? And then she put it on, and then she was trying to show it off. And then you had Connor sort of drag her arm down to sort of hide it. And it's like, Connor, you could have taken some money from your pocket, and you're a professional athlete. You could have taken some money from your pocket and bought her something actually nice if you really wanted, if you really like her that much. I said it before, I'll say it again. Connor still has feelings for Shakira and is just putting up with Megan because that's the only option he has at the moment. You have Cash, he's on the terrace with Tony, and they're having this conversation with Tony, and Tony's saying, I never expected you to forgive me because of everything that happened. And he actually said, I never thought I would forgive you as well, because I was really upset about the way you treated me, but seeing you cry really broke me, and I realized that I still care for you, and this is how he forgave her. He got her a necklace. She seemed excited about it. She was very giddy. There was a bit of shyness. He told her they're going to be exclusive. She said, you're supposed to ask me. He said, I'm not asking you. I'm telling you we're exclusive, and that's it. And I love the shyness. Cash has a way of sort of complimenting Tony and sort of calming her down, which I really loved. I thought it was cute. Angel and Ty didn't get that date. He said he's developing feelings for her. And it's like, next thing you're going to propose. He is Dejon, but on a smaller scale. These guys in the villa have been moving mad. I think the only two great guys have been Cash and Jamie. Everybody else has been a menace, but the sad bit is some are in your face and some are very sly and hidden with it. So he got her a necklace. She seemed to like it. They both agreed they're developing feelings. I think it's performative. I think it's for the cameras because they know that they want to make it to the finale and they know that they are the least toxic couple of everyone that's there. They haven't had a problem, so they're hoping that will play in their favor. And I'm just side-eyeing it and I don't know. You have Shakira and Harry. Shakira comes to her date and then Harry says, I got you a hat. And I love that she was a good sport about it. And she really seemed giddy and seemed to love the hat. I wouldn't be surprised to see her on a holiday wearing that hat, even if she breaks up with Harry, because it was one of the cutest things ever. I loved how they complement one another and how Shakira somehow manages to mature Harry and makes him very likable. So I thought that was the cutest thing ever. He gave her a necklace with a turtle. She really loved it because, that's her favorite animal. So it was really cutesy to watch and really cutesy to see how they complement each other and how Harry is a totally different man around Shakira. He's emotionally intelligent. He is caring, compassionate, empathetic. There is no sexual talk at all. There's actual conversation. So I love that for them. I thought it was the sweetest thing ever. You have Yas and Jamie. Yas, reveals to Jamie that she had a conversation with Meg and they agreed that it was just a game. It wasn't anything serious. It's not like she's pursuing a romantic connection with this man or she's still interested in exploring anything, because she's already told the girls that, Jamie is everything she wants in a partner. And watching Dejon on movie night and the grafties has told her that he is not it for her. And she would be a fool really to leave Jamie and go to Dejon, who functions in a way that we all have just noticed in the side-eyeing. He gave her a ring with a little cat on it. I don't know what happened to the flight catcher, whatever thingy, a dream catcher. And so Yas became emotional. Jamie broke Yas GBT because she started crying and she kept saying, I want to compose myself. I think this is a protective shield that she always keeps around her. And somehow Jamie has been able to enter the inner sanctum of her heart, which I really love for him. I thought they were the cutest ever. We then go back to Dejon and Meg. They're having this conversation with Meg revealing that, she spoke to Yasmin and she was questioning why, Dejon and Yasmin would pick one another when there's always this constant back and forth during games. She doesn't understand that. And so Dejon then became defensive. Instead of listening to how his partner feels and coming up with a solution or just telling her, I hear you, I respect your opinion, and I'll take that on board next time, he became defensive. Because I think with Dejon, there's this image or this perception of himself that he went into the villa with, and he wants to maintain that even in the villa, and when he leaves the villa, that's the image he wants to continue to portray. And the moment anyone goes against it, he's quick to shut them down, because he told them, in that case, let's not talk, let's keep quiet. And it's like, what sort of date are these people having for them to say, look at the camera, now the camera is always on you? And it's like, what do you mean the cameras are always on you? So the two of you have been performative all along. There hasn't been any emotional connection. There hasn't been any sort of live in the moment. Everything has always been calculated, and how are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? Because there was no need to call out the cameras. There was no need to behave in the way that they behaved. I was just side-eyeing them. I'm surprised that they're still there. So Tony then receives a text message to say the public have been voting for their favorite couple, and Dejon says it's our time. It's then revealed that it's Megan and Connor. I don't think Connor was surprised. I really don't. Even Megan herself, I don't think was surprised. I think Connor knew he was buying time. I think the moment Shakira ended things with him, he knew he was likely to go home, because sadly, he was never going to get a more popular person. I think in his mind, somebody must have either told him, or he must have had the impression that Shakira is very popular, especially when the Islanders voted to save her. He and Megan pack their bags and they leave. And Megan is saying, I came for my person. I found my person. I'm happy to do this, to leave. I've done this before and I'm happy to do it again. And it's like, well, we'll see. We'll see how long this lasts. I do not think Megan and Connor will last outside the villa. That's just me. Because I don't think Connor is as serious about her as he made out to be. I think if they stay together, it will only be because it's financially lucrative for the two of them. They say goodbye. The clique, the clique is dwindling down. It's now left to 2 members. But then, they have 2 other people out on the outside. So it seems on Sunday the dumped islanders are coming back, and then they're going to vote for who they want to dump. I really hope they dump Dejon and Meg. If not, I want them to dump Angel and Ty. They need to leave the baddies alone with their guys, because the baddies haven't done anything to upset anyone, 1. Their guys haven't done anything to upset anyone, 2. So I think only Harry might be a problem for the baddies. Otherwise, everybody else has been great. So I can't wait to see that. Thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 53. Bye everyone.